There's a subtle art that few men ever master, an art that transforms casual interest into deep obsession. This isn't about cheap tricks or gimmicks. We're delving into a psychological playbook that will have her thinking about you day and night. Obsession isn't built on surface-level attraction. It's a nuanced mix of anticipation, emotional triggers, and consistently leaving her wanting more. This approach isn't for the faint of heart. These techniques are effective, but they require careful handling. If you're ready to learn how to make her utterly obsessed with you, keep watching. But be warned, once you start, there's no turning back. Harness the power of mystery. Curiosity is one of the most potent emotional triggers in the human brain. When someone can't fully figure you out, their mind keeps returning to you like an unsolved puzzle. The key is mastering the art of being open while still leaving things unsaid. Share just enough to pique her interest, but always keep part of your life, your past, or your thoughts locked away. The less she knows, the more her mind will spiral with thoughts about what you might be hiding. Perhaps you have a passion that you hint at, but never fully disclose. She knows you disappear every weekend for it, but she can't quite pin down what it is. This leaves her hungry for more and makes you a source of constant fascination. Humans are hardwired to seek answers and closure. By leaving gaps in the information you provide, you're creating a psychological itch she can't help but scratch. For example, imagine you have a secret hobby that you only vaguely mention. You might say, "I have this thing I do on weekends. It's pretty intense." You never provide more details. She will be intrigued and start imagining what it could be. Is it something adventurous? Is it a hidden talent? The more she thinks about it, the more she thinks about you. She will want to be part of your mysterious world, and this curiosity will keep her hooked. Use emotional roller coasters to create addiction. People become addicted to emotional highs and lows, especially in romantic relationships. It's why some women stay hooked on guys who don't treat them well. I'm not suggesting you be toxic, but instead create moments of emotional intensity, both positive and negative. The key is balance. You don't want her to associate you only with stress or frustration, but those moments of emotional conflict followed by sweetness or vulnerability can make the emotional payoff that much more rewarding. Engage in playful debates that get her riled up, only to pivot to something more vulnerable like sharing a personal story. The contrast creates emotional waves that keep her engaged. Studies show that the brain responds to emotional roller coasters similarly to addictive substances, creating dopamine spikes that make her more likely to become fixated on the source of that emotional thrill. Consider a scenario where you have a playful argument about something trivial, like which movie is better. The debate gets heated, but just when she thinks you're genuinely upset, you switch gears and share a touching story from your childhood. This sudden shift from conflict to vulnerability creates a roller coaster of emotions that keeps her engaged and connected to you. Trigger her FOMO, fear of missing out. Scarcity is a fundamental driver of human behavior. If she feels that other women have access to something she doesn't, it creates a sense of urgency and competition. You want to subtly show her that your attention and time are highly valuable and that she's not the only one vying for it. Casually mention that you've been getting a lot of attention lately without boasting. Let her see that you're desirable and that you have options. This stirs her competitive spirit and makes her want to fight for your attention. Fear of missing out is a proven psychological phenomenon. When people feel like they might lose out on something valuable, they often act irrationally to secure it. In this case, that something valuable is you. For instance, during a conversation you might say, "I've been getting a lot of messages from people wanting to hang out lately, but I've been pretty selective about my time." This statement shows her that others find you appealing and that she needs to step up her game to win your attention. The idea that she might miss out on being with someone as desirable as you will make her more eager to secure her place in your life. Control the narrative. One of the most overlooked tools in making someone obsessed with you is controlling the narrative of how they perceive you. You can subtly steer the direction of her thoughts about you by guiding conversations, planting ideas, and shaping her expectations. This isn't about manipulation, it's about influencing her mental image of who you are and what you represent in her life. When talking about your goals, ambitions, or passions, highlight how you're different from other guys. Let her see that you're not just a typical player or a man chasing superficial things. You're deeper than that, and this distinction will make her see you as rare, elevating you in her mind. Psychologically, we tend to idolize people who represent something unique or rare in our lives. By presenting yourself as someone who stands out from the crowd, she will start to see you as irreplaceable, fueling her obsession. When discussing your future, you might emphasize your commitment to personal growth and your desire to make a positive impact on the world. Say things like, "I'm passionate about my career, but I'm also deeply committed to volunteering and helping others." This not only sets you apart from others, but also aligns you with values that she may find admirable and attractive. She will begin to see you as a rare find, someone worth investing her time and emotions in. Be unpredictably consistent. This might sound like a contradiction, but it's a powerful strategy. Be consistent in the important ways: your values, your character, and your treatment of her, while throwing in occasional surprises keeps her emotionally engaged. It's about being reliable, but not boring. She needs to feel safe with you, but also excited about what might come next. Maybe you always text her good night, but one day, instead of a simple message, you send her an unexpected but heartfelt voice note. These small shifts in the pattern keep her on her toes. Generally, the brain loves novelty, but also craves consistency. Striking the balance between the two is what keeps someone interested for the long haul. You're giving her a reason to feel secure, but also a reason to stay curious. Consider a scenario where you usually plan low-key dates like movie nights or casual dinners. Then out of the blue, you plan an adventurous day trip or surprise her with tickets to a concert she's been dying to see. These unexpected gestures show that while you are reliable and consistent, you are also capable of bringing excitement and novelty into her life. This balance keeps the relationship dynamic and prevents it from becoming monotonous. Feed her subconscious desires. People rarely verbalize their deepest desires, especially in the early stages of attraction. But if you can identify and subtly cater to her hidden wants and needs, you become the man who just gets her. This goes beyond surface-level attraction and taps into her most intimate emotions. If she values creativity, casually share your artistic side. If she's driven by ambition, let her see your dedication to success. The trick is to become a reflection of what she wants, but doesn't openly ask for. Cognitive science reveals that people are more likely to become obsessed with those who fulfill unmet psychological needs. When you reflect her subconscious desires, you stand out as someone who meets those needs, making her more drawn to you. For instance, if she's passionate about environmental causes, you might mention your involvement in local cleanup efforts or your interest in sustainable living. If she's an aspiring writer, you could share your favorite books and discuss how they've influenced your thinking. By aligning yourself with her deeper values and interests, you position yourself as someone who understands and supports her true self, making her feel a stronger connection to you. Plant seeds of doubt and reassure. While this might sound risky, hear me out. The power of subtle doubt, paired with reassurance, creates a push-pull dynamic that can be incredibly compelling. This isn't about making her insecure, but rather leaving room for her to wonder where she stands with you, only to pull her back in with affirmations. If she starts to feel too comfortable, scale back your communication just slightly, enough to make her wonder. But before she begins to overthink, reaffirm her with a compliment or a thoughtful gesture. This keeps her emotionally invested. The Zeigarnik effect shows that people tend to remember unfinished tasks or unresolved emotions more than completed ones. By leaving things slightly open-ended, you create mental stickiness that keeps her thinking about you. For example, if you've been texting back and forth consistently, you might take a bit longer to reply one day, just enough to make her notice. When she starts to wonder if something is wrong, you send a sweet message that reassures her of your interest. This push-pull technique creates a dynamic where she's never entirely sure where she stands, which keeps her thinking about you and seeking your validation. Master the art of absence. Absence doesn't just make the heart grow fonder, it can make it obsessed. The key is to vanish at just the right time when the emotional peak is high, leaving her craving your presence. When you return, the emotional impact is doubled. After a particularly great date or conversation, go radio silent for a day or two, not in a way that suggests you're disinterested, but just enough to let her feel the void of your absence. Research in relationship psychology shows that anticipation heightens emotions. When someone is looking forward to seeing or hearing from you, the anticipation itself becomes a powerful emotional anchor that strengthens their connection to you. Imagine you've had an amazing evening together, filled with laughter and deep conversation. Instead of texting her goodnight or following up the next day, you let a couple of days pass. During this time, she will replay the evening in her mind, thinking about how much she enjoyed it and wondering when she'll hear from you again. When you finally do reach out, the emotional impact is much greater because she's been eagerly anticipating your return. Build an aura of exclusivity. People want what they can't easily have. If she feels that access to your time, energy, or inner world is limited, she will value it more. The trick is to be selectively available. Engage with her deeply when you're together, but always keep a part of yourself just out of reach. When spending time with her, be fully present and make her feel like she's the only person that matters. But once that time is over, retreat back into your world. Let her know that she's special, but not so special that you're dropping everything for her. The scarcity principle in psychology demonstrates that people value things more when they perceive them as scarce or hard to come by. By positioning yourself as someone who isn't easily available, you increase your value in her eyes. For instance, if you're usually available to hang out, start being a bit more selective. Tell her you have a busy week ahead with important projects or personal commitments. When you do make time for her, make it meaningful and special. This selective availability makes your presence feel more valuable and sought after, increasing her desire to be with you. With you, embed yourself in her daily routine. True obsession happens when you've woven yourself into someone's daily thoughts, actions, and routines. This is done by becoming a part of her everyday life in small but significant ways. You want to create triggers that remind her of you throughout her day, even when you're not around. Maybe you share a particular song, a phrase, or a habit that she associates with you. Every time she hears that song, sees that phrase, or performs that habit, her mind instantly drifts back to you. According to behavioral conditioning, repeated associations create strong mental links. By embedding yourself into her daily routine, you effectively condition her to think of you regularly, which strengthens her emotional attachment and leads to obsession. Consider sharing a favorite song that you both enjoy. Whenever she hears it, she will think of you, or develop a unique phrase or inside joke that only the two of you share. These small, repeated associations create a mental link that keeps you in her thoughts throughout her daily life. Over time, these triggers will strengthen her emotional connection to you, making her feel more attached and obsessed. These techniques, while powerful, should be used responsibly. The goal isn't to manipulate or hurt anyone, but to understand the deeper layers of attraction and connection. When used correctly, these strategies can help you build a bond so strong that she'll be thinking about you constantly. But remember, with great power comes great responsibility. So use these techniques wisely and always treat her with the respect she deserves. If you've made it this far, let us know what you think in the comments section below. For more interesting topics, make sure you watch the recommended video that you see on the screen right now. Thanks for watching.